From the notorious Pink Flamingos to polyester. There's so much we love about him. Let's welcome the king of bad taste, John Waters.
Thank you. I feel like Angela Davis and Paul Lynde. I'm queer and I'm proud, but I'm mentally ill, so don't expect a role model. I couldn't be anybody's leader except maybe to a bad movie. My friends in show business always said, "What, you're gonna lead a gay march on a state capitol steps?" And I think, well, what's the matter with that? I mean, didn't Visconti do that? But maybe you ask yourself the question the next time you plunk down your $8 to see a movie. Does the director of the film I'm seeing tonight have a stand-up political act on state capitol steps? If not, to hell with him. My life is getting more and more like Alan Carr's every day. I think, was it getting good or bad? You'll have to ask him. Basically, I think what they mean is that somehow I've always been a little bit gaily incorrect. I may be the only gay man you've ever met that has never been to the gyms or the baths, even though I've done much worse. My motto has always been that even though it's a very, very, very good start, that gay is still not enough. And I think gay young people know that we have to make it better and better and better, and that should be the motto. And that we should never, ever use our sexuality to lower our artistic standards. I think what I really wanted to do tonight was come out and do all Judy Garland's Carnegie Hall album for you in Pig Latin. Make direct eye contact with each and every one of you and go on for hours and hours until you're squirming standing here ready to rush home and watch the director's cut of Patch Adams. But since I'm more of a gaily life-affirming guy these days, I guess I'll start with my early negative role influences. I think everybody needs a bad gay person to look up to. I hope I can be that for you today. The first person I ever wanted to be was the Wicked Witch of the West. It was the only time I was ever in drag, and I probably raised a few eyebrows at the children's birthday party, but it wasn't because I wanted to wear her dress, although it was a beautiful Comme des Garçons number, but it was because I wanted to have green skin, something that is unfortunately growing true as I get older. I never understood why Dorothy wanted to go back to that dreary farm in black and white with that mean aunt when she could live with winged monkeys and magic shoes and gay lions. Also, Captain Hook was somebody I wanted to be through most of my childhood. I wore a coat hanger up my sleeve for about a year and my parents let me. I still think I'd look good with a hook. And everybody today with piercings and everything, I think a hook might be coming into fashion soon, or you bangy lips. I believe that is next on college campuses. And I wish everybody would just get their favorite director's name tattooed in their forehead. Wouldn't that make dating easier? Really need is showmanship at these rallies. You know, I know you have to raise money. These things cost a lot of money. So I was thinking of some ideas that we could use, show business ideas that might maybe make it easier for everybody at these rallies to pay for them. I think you could have a really good fundraiser about 2 weeks before and show all the early Warhol films and have the top models in the community OD in the lobby. And sponsor rap sessions about it. Now, another way to raise money is you all got in free today. Make you pay to leave. I think gay people always have a really good sense of humor, and I don't understand why we don't use this as a weapon. Use humor to get revenge on your political enemies, the same way Abby Hoffman did in the 60s with the Yippies. You know, and I've got some good ideas. If you have a local politician that votes against gay rights all the time, get the meanest drag queen in town to go live on his lawn in a pup tent. Have her shout out fashion insults to his wife every day when she leaves for work. You know, if you're angry about all this don't ask, don't tell, go down to the recruiting station with all your friends and have a demonstration demanding an all-lesbian volunteer army. I would feel so secure knowing at home in front of the fire, knowing my sisters were kicking ass out there. Get the cutest hustlers in town to find out the Vice Squad's names and follow them to their lavatories. Entrap them in lion court and see how they feel. Also, lesbians, please don't be separatists. Separatists are defeat. Join garden clubs, infiltrate debutante parties. Sexual terrorism is much more fun. And finally, make voting sexual. Have sex in voting booths. It really perks up the voting experience. Now, I think, you know, that basically all the magazines and the press never asked me if I was gay or not, even though I was on the cover of gay magazines in the 70s. And I think that's because, like my parents, they always feared the answer would somehow be worse than gay. The library saved my life as a kid. I mean, who doesn't like the library? Most of you here had your first sexual experience there. I think, you know, when I was a kid, though, I used to go look up in the card catalog, this was before computers, and I would look up every interest I had, like Jean Genet, One Magazine, William Inge, and it would always say, "See librarian," which would really piss me off. Because I could see the librarian was out reading the normal books to the regular little kids, so I would have to go back and steal the books where I knew they kept the "See librarian" books. Which just goes to show, if you work in a library, give every kid any book he wants, you know? If he's 6 years old and he's heard of Naked Lunch, he's old enough to read it. Now, underground movies really also were a big thing when I was growing up. I mean, underground in a way was just a different word of saying gay. I mean, the biggest underground hits were Jack Smith's Flaming Creatures, which was the first film to show frontal male nudity, and it wasn't really a hard-on, it was what they called a Hollywood loaf, half a hard-on. The Kuchar brothers also, who made insane melodramas in their parents' Co-op City apartment. Kenneth Anger, who really was the first filmmaker to use the ironic use of pop music, and certainly Warhol also, who really had the good idea of putting homosexuality and drugs together at last on screen. So I tried to make my first sort of movie that would confuse everybody with all kinds of sexual minorities in it, eat your makeup. In this movie, Divine played Jackie Kennedy, and we had the whole Kennedy assassination with Divine climbing over the trunk and everything, and people really didn't think it was funny because it was a year after it happened. And at the time, Divine's mother didn't even know he was Divine or we made movies or anything, and she found the Jackie Kennedy outfit and she said, "What is this?" And he was so uptight, he just said, "I am Jackie Kennedy." When I started making movies in the beginning, I didn't know what I was doing, and you don't need to know what you're doing to start whatever you're obsessed with either. In Mondo Trasher, there's a scene where Divine crawls through pig shit, dressed in a gold lame Toreador outfit. I didn't know you were supposed to ask. We just pulled the car over, Divine got out and started crawling through the pig shit. And the pigs started having sex. You know how much I'd have to pay an animal wrangler today to do that? All these things, we made them with, you know, Pink Flamingos was filmed basically as a terrorist act more than a movie at the time. It was all different sexual minorities together. You didn't know who was gay or straight, and I always think that's more fun in a way, because you hear everybody's worst story. With that movie, Pink Flamingos was really about limits, and everybody has limits. I know it's hard to imagine I do, but I taught in prison for a long time, and I showed my class, who was mostly murderers, I showed them Pink Flamingos, and afterwards they all said, "Man, you are fucked up." Which thought was a little strange. But I have limits, you know. I heard of a heterosexual group of men recently called the Diaper Pail Fraternity. I believe this is my limits. They dress and eroticize being babies. And there's pictures of like 300-pound men in diapers with, you know, on scooters and in bouncy chairs. This is my limit. This is too much for me. I think some limits are healthy. Divine's father used to say to him, I know you make a lot of money wearing a dress, but please don't be a ballet dancer. That's so peculiar. And even Divine felt a tinge of homophobia the first time he met, oh, I'm going blank. What's his name? Never mind. I'll get back to that one. It's a good joke, and I forget it. I think also limits are important with censorship. We've all had censorship our whole lives. I mean, Pink Flamingos used to get busted all the time, and I would admit it is obscene, but joyously, which is a big, big difference. What happened, that film would get busted, families would go in, always families. You know how that word has been ruined, you know? And they would go in and watch Pink Flamingos and get halfway through it. Well, I know what that is, the singing asshole scene. And they would go to call the police, you know? Why didn't they just turn it off? That's what I did when Forrest Gump started running. I think Female Trouble was my anti-capital punishment movie. I think all gay people should be anti-capital punishment. They'll do it to you. Remember, if you have a bad night. Don't think they won't. You know, in Maryland now, they're so liberal about, where I live, about capital punishment. They give you the choice. You can either get the gas chamber or lethal injection. Well, what criminal wouldn't pick the gas chamber, especially a gay one? It's so much more theatrical, you know? You can bang your head up against the glass and scream, I want to live. Now, Desperate Living was my lesbian movie at the time. It's great to hear that, because when that movie came out in 1977, lesbian militant groups stopped it from showing in many theaters, saying, how dare a man make a film about lesbians? And today it is the film that many lesbian groups bring to the college to show. So I think that's so great about how, you know, different minorities' senses of humor change radically over the decades. Polyester was a film I made where Tab Hunter actually kissed Divine, and that sounds like nothing today, but it was really a big deal to get that at the time, and the press couldn't even believe that, and airlines said they would never show that movie on an airline because Divine and Tab sat on a bed together, which is pretty amazing to realize today. With Crybaby, I made a juvenile delinquent movie. No, Hairspray. Oh, wait. I want to get to Hairspray, certainly, because that was, I accidentally made a family movie. I remember how ashamed I was the day I heard I had a PG rating. But it was Divine's really one of his very best movies. And you know, you have to remember when Divine started out, the drag queen movement was very different. Drag queens were very square in the old days. They wanted to be Beth Meyerson and wear mink coats and be their mothers. And Divine used to show up with a chainsaw and fake scars all over his body. And all the drag queens really hated him. So it was amazing to see that, you know, Divine started his career playing a psychotic lunatic and ended up playing a loving mother, all as a man, which was pretty good. With Crybaby, I made certainly not a gay star, but Johnny Depp, who couldn't be more of a gay-friendly kind of guy. It's about juvenile delinquents. I think we need juvenile delinquents again. I think we need gay juvenile delinquents. Gay young people, their responsibility should be getting on my generation's nerves, you know? And 70s revivals is not enough. Young gay people have to make it cool to be poor again. They also, I don't understand why there isn't good gay, like, militant gangster rap. Why not? I'm a faggot and I'm gonna kick your ass, you know? Also, I do this lecture a lot in colleges everywhere, in rich kids' school. I think, why in rich kids' school is everyone gay all of a sudden, you know? They aren't all gay. We don't want all the transsexual ones. Make them come in. You just can't believe it. When you go, you see these people and they're so embarrassed that they aren't gay. It's really very amazing. Serial Mom was the movie I made that I knew my career. Thank you. I knew all my careers had come together on the first day of rehearsal when Mink Stoll and Kathleen Turner were doing the dialogue, and Mink was calling Kathleen a cocksucker on my living room couch. Pecker was my feel-good movie about lesbian strippers and pubic hair harassment. The only thing better than making a good movie to me is thinking up a new sex act. So I tried to introduce a new sex act in this movie, Teabagging, which was very popular in Baltimore. For those of you who don't know what teabagging is, it's when you hit your partner in their forehead with your balls, basically. It's a fleeting moment, but it is safe and no one gets pregnant, and but it's over in Baltimore because the club they did it in, now they changed the law so you can have frontal nudity in bars. So now no one teabags, they have what's called helicoptering. That's when you have an erection and you hit people in the face. Whap, 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 whap. I also just finished my new movie, which is called Cecil B. Demented, which opens in August. Thank you. It's Melanie Griffith and Stephen Dorff and Alicia Witt and Adrian Grenier, Patricia Hearst, Mink Stoll. It's about terrorism against the movie business. And we've got some really good gay character in this one. There's a gay character who is so ashamed of his heterosexuality that he wants to commit suicide. Like the old days when it used to have in 30s movies, gay people wanted to kill themselves because they're gay. I'm trying to reverse that trend. There's a lot of movies I'd like to make that they'll never let me. I'd like to make a gay nudist camp movie. I'm from a generation where happy, healthy idiots on pogo sticks with airbrushed crotches are sexy. But I'd like to have a nudie movie with people you'd never want to see nude, like maybe Ed McMahon, that turncoat Steve Allen, or porno. I was a judge in the porno Oscars in LA. It was amazing. They gave so many tapes to everybody, and I heard another judge say, "I'm raw from this duty." And they take it very seriously at the end. They give Best Picture, and then Jeff Stryker came out in a tuxedo with his erection out, and everybody stood up and gave him a standing ovation. It was an LA moment. I like the titles of, Shaving Ryan's Privates is a good one, and the worst of all, Schindler's Fist. My hobby is extreme Catholic behavior before the Reformation, and I'd like to make this book called Holy Anorexia, The Eating Disorders of the Saints. It's a really good book. You should read it, into a movie. And especially have St. Catherine of Siena in it. I pray to her. She was the most insane saint of all. She would always rush into hospitals, rip off scabs off people, eat it, and offer it up to God. This is Jane Fonda's comeback role. I'd also like to do a gay television series. I'd like to buy the rights to Liberace's boyfriend's book. It's called Behind the Candelabra. I think it should be Beneath. But in the book, he complains that Liberace forced him to have facial surgery to look just like Liberace. I love that, You got to do something sitting around the pool all day. I can see Liberace saying, "Scott, you have an appointment." I think it would be really, really a good TV series. I'd also like to help people. There's a book that comes out at Christmas every year called Toys That Kill, and I collect these toys, and I'd like to do an animation film for children, like, it has Elmo the Elephant, Water for 13 strangulation deaths in Minnesota, and bring these to death in animation, kind of like the Care Bear Massacre, or I Dismember Rainbow Bright. I'd kind of like to close on a spiritual note. I try to be a very positive gay story for you, and this is the one that I can think of. I heard recently there was a porno shop in California, and a guy went into one of the porno booths, and this is a rude story, but I feel compelled to share it with you. And he put his penis through a glory hole, and somebody poured acid on it, and he came running out, my dick's on fire, give me some water. And the clerk said, "We don't have water, we have Coca-Colas, and they're $1. And he had to fiddle in his wallet, take out $1, pay it to him, pour the Coke on it, and then he laughed. and that is gay liberation. If we can laugh at the worst thing that ever happens to us because of our sexuality, we will be the strongest minority of all. Proud to be gay, proud to be outsiders, and proud not to be like everybody else. Thank you.
John Waters.